survived ISIS, and then fought with the U.S. military and became an American citizen. And I got to ask Adele, which a couple of people gave me grief for, but you know what? People needed to hear the actual answer. I asked him in Arabic first. Why do you continue to carry the Iraqi flag with you when you survived ISIS and now you're an American? And he's like, and he gave the best answer. It was, ISIS invaded my country. They're not Iraqis. They're not Syrians. They came in as invaders. They don't represent Iraq. I'm from Iraq. Iraq still stands, and they couldn't tear down the country. So, if people were upset with that question, I'm sorry. He gave the best answer possible, and a lot of people needed to hear it because a lot of people wonder why someone who's now an American citizen will continue to carry the country of their origin.
That's heavy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't know, and again, I'm going to butcher his name, so I'm not going to, but the fighter that we just mentioned,
Altanimi,
essentially, I mean, he had, I think, the Wednesday before the Saturday fight, Bellator had released on all of their social media channels, essentially, what were we?
Turn your mic on.
Thanks. Right on. Apparently, you guys didn't hear me at all.
We can hear you in Robert's mic because you're loud.
There you go. There you go. But Bellator essentially had put out a video of him training being a coach at Jay Glazer's gym in West Hollywood, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And notable names like Chris Pratt were in attendance, and they basically painted the story of him being a bit of a subdued coach, very encouraging, but very upbeat, lighthearted gentleman, but never really told his story until, I guess, Bellator cameras happened to be in the room. Right. And we told a story about, I believe, his cousins and
his brother.
His cousin and his brother, and they were all part of the military, the coalition. They had been captured by ISIS, and essentially he watched his cousin and then his brother get beheaded by ISIS. And then right before they were about to behead him, essentially the Marines came in and saved the day, and that's why he's kind of duly proud Iraqi, but also proud American citizen, and really grateful for just for his time here and what he's able to do here. So after that, and kind of gym testimonials and what have you, Rich Chu of Bellator came up and was like, "Hey, we'd like to present you with a contract." And his first fight was at the Forum and for Bellator, which that's kind of Aaron Pico level at Madison Square Garden levels of like pressure and what have you. You can make a point like, oh, Jake Hager had the same, but Jake Hager has been in front of crowds. But
this is also the fact that Adele trains at King's LA.
In West Hollywood,
and that he's now an American citizen, lives in Southern California. So this is essentially his welcome home to the United States to be fighting at Bellator 214 at the Forum.
Is he the guy that's Chris Pratt's trainer? Is he the instructor?
Yeah, that's it.
Instructor?
That's it.
Yeah.
Who else? There's other people on that roster too. Is there?
Wiz Khalifa, Snoop Dogg gets rounds. And not so much Jonah Hill. I know Jonah Hill is at Street Sports in. I know a whole bunch of the Street Sports guys, but out kind of like West Hills-ish and what have you. But a lot of celebrities. You got to run into
all that kind of stuff because you're doing that whole routine.
Yeah.
It's a grind, but Wiz Khalifa, I think Joe Rogan was just talking about it on one of his podcasts last week. He's got abs. He's got like washboard abs.
I was talking about combat sports, not what his stomach looked like, but hey, whatever you're into.
That's all I know. And then the See You Again from Fast and Furious. That's all I know about about him. Yeah. So what did you think about his performance?
Adele's performance was clean. It was sharp. His roll through to the armbar was a beautiful takedown and a beautiful submission. The match didn't last very long. It finished in the first round. He made his countrymen proud. He made his family that was there with him proud, and he made everybody there proud to be an American because he's living the American dream. You survive a war, you come here, and you make something of yourself. You can't ask for anything more.
Yeah, and I tried to Shazam it, but his walkout music, it was...
That was a heavy walkout, dude. That was, I mean, then the Marines came out and stood right in front of him. That's heavy. I didn't know what was going on. No,
Dude, that was a military parade, but it was well worth it.
But Adam looks like he didn't like it.
Okay,
like
this
the
is a guy
USO?
who has like Creed's greatest hits, and I was just not not feeling it. Not feeling it. I can stand Scott Stapp. I've got a bunch of Limp Bizkit records, yeah, but no, wasn't feeling it. But kudos to that guy. I mean, shout out to him. Shout out to Chris Pratt, who got a lot of FaceTime. But kudos to Bellator, man.
Right.
Yeah, and then. We had.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It was cool to see Star-Lord walk out to the cage with him, but I was far more interested in Adele's story than Chris Pratt's.
For me, I think I saw him as a fat guy in my kids watching The Office, and that's like my only reference.
I think he was in Parks and Rec.
Oh, that too. They kind of look the same to me. I just people in the office and whatever. But yeah. Shout out to Adele. Then I mean,
We're gonna see more of him, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming up.
Absolutely.
He's a destroyer.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And, again, I mean, he looked like a...
He looked like $1 million.
Yeah, for sure. And then some of the undercard guys, man. We got...
we're going to go backwards? We went from the main card. We're going to go backwards now. We're going to go up.
Well, you got to start with the big story and then go back.
I'm learning. I'm learning from the best. So, okay, this is where we go.
It's a half whole type situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a tip.
Who we talking about?
So we can go to... let's go with Thor Skanky.
Thor, who is not so skanky.
No.
He's kicking ass.
Yeah, he is absolutely.
It was a great fight that night.
Yeah, I mean, fought a tough dude in Jesse Merrick.
Coming back out of retirement, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He retired.
Thor's
back
doing
at
great
CXF.
things.
Yeah,
right.
Retired at CXF. He's a top coach of Rocksteady Boxing.
That's right.
They teach folks that have Parkinson's and debilitating, neurological kind of nerve-ending diseases to kind of...
That's enough to just become a fan of that gym without anything else.
Absolutely. But, he's out there in at the title boxing in, it's kind of like West Hills area and what have you.
Yeah.
Further down the 101. But, man, he's... so cool. And then Thor, if you guys don't already know, he was actually a bit of a viral video sensation a couple years back, doing his self-defense videos and what have you, disabling people with guns with backflips and almost lucha libre-esque moves and what have you. He messes around with Hanato Larange a bunch. So man, it was cool
Your
to
twin
see.
brother, Hanato Larange.
That may or may not be true.
I'm telling you,
I've ever been in the same place at the same time. So there you go.
I take that back. I think we were together at Next Level in the same place in the same time. Were you not there that night?
No.
I guess I saw him and thought it was you.
Don't tell nobody.
Yeah,
man. So that was cool. I mean, he actually, in a time where we get to see like really, really slick submissions and what have you. Thor essentially showed how dominant a north-south choke could potentially be on a big stage.
Right.
We haven't seen that in a Bellator or UFC type level organization in quite a while. So
he applied that north-south, and the guy put his arm wrongfully in between his legs. He walked it over, kept tiptoeing across, and then he went unconscious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Man.
Blood stopped.
I think there was a bit of a tap.
He may have tried to, but he went out.
Kind of a limp tap.
Yeah.
It was much too late.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just the pedigree that comes across with Merrick, training with Chad the Savage George and, all those guys at CMMA. Shout out to CMMA. But Thor came through and representing... I had the shirt on. Kaiju MMA under the great Gabe Rudiger. Shout out to Gabe-Zilla. But yeah, man, just showed how effective a north-south choke can be, man. That was pretty sick. Yeah, man. And let's see, what else did we have in the card? I want to kind of stay. I think Ryan Lilly got a lot of press.
I was going to say that was the kick heard around the world.
Let's kind of give love to. I think there were two other fights
in the prelims. There was a total of 8 fights in the prelims.
Okay.
So there was quite a few of those.
Yeah, amazing memory.
Yeah. Well, I was cage side.
I know, but I can sit cage side and not remember when I go home. You blow me away, man.
That's because you're too busy looking at the ring girls.
That could possibly be.
Yeah, it was.
You're not there to do your job. You're there to be distracted.
I'm always distracted. That's my thing.
There you go. 10 points for Dondo. Right
Distracted Dondo.
for his honesty.
on. Yeah, there you go. If nothing else.
Yes. Well, it is what it is.
No.
We all have our interests.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But who else did we have on the undercard?
Oh man, there
And
was too many people. That was the problem. It was eight undercard fights. I couldn't remember them all. But the main card, and we'll touch upon this one, is Fedor Emelianenko and Ryan Bader.
Come on.
And that was heartbreaking.
Right?
Yeah.
Any fan of the game, man, that hurt.
Yeah, but it's the Sakuraba thing. It's that whole Japanese code of you go till you can't fight anymore.
Yeah.
Because if you have that fight in you, why would you ever stop fighting?
Yeah.
Fedor walking to the cage didn't look to be in the game, and the problem with that was that it showed. 35 seconds later, he was knocked out, and Ryan Bader was called by Daniel Cormier when he was in the UFC the easiest guy in the division, and here he is now a triple champ.
Yes, absolutely.
Light heavyweight champion, world heavyweight champion, and on top of that, he's the Grand Prix champion.
Wow.
And who else can say that in the history of MMA?
Well, I mean, aside from Daniel Cormier,
Well,
that would be it, but not simultaneously.
But he's also not a Grand Prix champion.
Yes, he is.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
but
in
that's
Strikeforce. Yeah.
But this is all in one federation.
Yeah, all in one federation. Yeah. So I mean,
Pretty good that you remembered that, though, Adam.
Yeah.
I like that. You just pulled a rabbit out of a hat.
There you go.
There was Strikeforce at one time.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. But
And I think they have the same belt designer at Bellator that they did at Strikeforce.
Probably.
yes, they did. Yes, they did. Which is eons better, eons better than the new UFC Legacy Championship. It looks like the.
I thought that was the new Hall of Fame belt that they were going to give to the Hall of Famers. I
No.
didn't realize that was going to be the thing till they put it on Henry Cejudo.
Man, well, here's the thing. So that's kind of a crap show in itself because, okay, so you're Cejudo, you're the champion of a division that is going to cease to exist. I think they pegged Cejudo to lose.
Oh, yeah.
And when Dillashaw lost.
That's a fact.
And right, exactly. That's
Came
a fact.
in,
They were going
bigger,
to get rid of
stronger.
the division that day.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like,
Well,
the
but
wrong guy won.
Right.
And then
They're
what do you
running with
get? Oh, the shit title. Oh, nice.
Right.
That's great. That's a nice
Yeah.
caveat, right? That
Yeah,
makes
probably
you-
said bantamweight on the belt.
Probably.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, I think they did the same thing to Ben Askren when they were going to try to quote unquote feed him to Robbie Lawler.
Yeah.
You know, that way they could shut everybody up and said, okay, we gave Ben a shot. He's a boring fighter, and he got knocked out by Robbie, who loves to throw hands.
Right.
And they wanted Ben to get caught, and I honestly think that's what happened to Ben Askren.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
And they keep forgetting that he's
More
a
to
grinder.
come from Ben, too, right?
Oh yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
You know, Ben's one of the best talkers in the business. Ben's one of the best wrestlers in the business. The guy's a grinder. You know, people that don't fully understand mixed martial arts or combat sports or grappling don't realize that the level of intensity to have somebody like Ben on top of you just pushing and grinding, it's not boring, it's strategy. And he eventually breaks his opponents. That's why he's undefeated.
That's a great way to break someone down, too, because that kind of pressure, it's dehumanizing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what causes them to eventually give up something that they're going to be submitted with
Yeah.
because they just cannot take that pressure.
Absolutely. And I mean, realistically, the dream match for Ben Askren, as far as the UFC is concerned, is Habib. That's a match that everybody, I think, wants to see.
At 160 or 165, 155, I think it might be too much for him to make.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's a
sure.
rough one.
But I mean, we'll see what happens. But also, I mean, the UFC is almost becoming the WWE in the sense where that's the organization that houses the dream matches that you think you want to see, and they find a way to not make it happen.
Well, you have to remember that the UFC is now owned by WME IMG.
Look at that. Look who
Hey,
we got.
yeah.
My sister from another mister.
Yeah, man. Jim Crasher's OG.
I don't even
Bellator vet.
recognize her without the pink hair.
Yeah, man. How are you doing?
All right.
You-
Good. Just
Look and sound great.
Yeah.
You're in school now. Tell us about that.
Oh my
You must be
God,
quite a
I'm
distraction in a
school.
classroom.
I'm like the oldest person in the class.
You seem to be the most energetic, too.
Oh yeah, of course, all the time.
What are you drinking there, Maria?
Something in pink.
Water.
Crystal Light.
Crystal Light. There you go. We've got a little one there.
I see
Look at the
Thalia.
curly tops there.
Yeah, she's trying to get in on this conversation here.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Hi. Yeah. So how's that? I mean, hi, hello. Oh my gosh, you're a cutie pie. So what are you taking in school, Maria?
I'm going to school for dental hygiene.
One more
You
again?
hear me?
Live TV.
Dental hygiene. Dental hygiene.
You just went
Dental
into a
hygiene.
room with no lights.
There you go.
Robert didn't warn you
There
of
we
that.
go.
All right.
There you go. Hey, there you go. 10 points.
That
So-
was like walking around Adam's neighborhood when he was on his phone that one night.
Oh, yeah. That happens to me often. But anyway, so what are you taking in school?
Dental hygienist.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
school
hear.
to be
Sorry.
a dental hygienist, and I'm doing a bunch of, like your core classes, math, and
Awesome.
all that other bullshit.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
What did you think about Bellator's fight this weekend?
As a Bellator vet,
I didn't get to watch it, unfortunately, because I had to work.
boo.
Well,
word.
there's DVRs, and if you want to go super old school, there's a VHS recorder.
Yeah.
Could have set the timer.
I love VHS.
There might even be a Betamax. I'm just saying.
When are you
The
coming back
Betamax
to
only went 90 minutes,
California?
Okay.
When are you going to come see us?
Shit,
Never.
I hope after the semester. I'm over
Right
this
on.
cold fucking weather.
Jesus. I can't even imagine adjusting to that.
It's in the
Getting that.
negatives. Like,
Getting that Arctic blast, or whatever they're calling it. I'm just going with like,
Is there
Arkansas?
snow on the floor?
no, but it's like a negative like 2 tonight, and tomorrow it's gonna be so cold that they may cancel school.
Oh my
wow.
goodness.
You know how cold it was here today? I had to wear
70?
socks.
70? 70?
It was probably 70.
70.
So it wasn't
Yeah.
cold.
No, it was like 68 degrees. Let's be a
Okay.
little fair.
All
You're
right.
trying to hurt me, aren't you?
There you go.
I was
I think
frozen.
You're trying to.
Yeah. I literally have a sweater like right here to stage right. Yeah, man.
So to keep this current, how is your training going? Are you training at all?
Right now, I'm kind of on a little hiatus because this school just started, so I've just been hitting the weights, and I'm actually going this Thursday to a new gym, potentially gonna maybe teach there. So we'll see.
I love it. They're lucky to have you.
It's kind of like weird adulting. I'm like, oh shit. I guess I gotta.
'Cause having a kid wasn't
prioritize
adulting
it
enough?
a little bit.
I figured
Yeah.
that's what you signed up for, yeah.
That's kind of a bigger responsibility than anything else.
Well, that's why I'm in school.
Hey, there you
Hey,
go. Oh,
yeah.
wise
It
gal.
feels
there.
like having a little brother or little sister when you have your first one, though. You know what I mean?
No,
I still feel like my son's my brother. We just hang out.
I don't have any kids, so I
Well,
couldn't tell you.
I just keep having them. I'm fertile myrtle.
my grandbaby watches fights, so that's cool.
There you
Thank
go.
God for that.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right on.
I saw
Because all we
that
need is more
Thor
Dondos
one.
running
Right?
around.
No,
Yeah, exactly.
there are. I have grandkids, man. They're out there.
Dude, the
He just
one
doesn't
son
know
is
them.
smart.
Yep.
Yeah, man. That's so cool. Dude, thank you for dropping by. This is
That's a
tremendous.
great picture of you right there. I'm so glad that it finally focused. Look at that.
There you go, man. Yeah, and geez, just thank you for all of your contributions, man. Because
we miss you.
we wouldn't have been here to this second season if not for you, if not for
Yep.
Miguel. And you guys are always welcome back, man. You guys are Jim Crash's family. And my goodness, calling fights with you at Sparstar is one of like the highlights of my career.
Dude,
It
she
was
was
so
up
fun.
in the cage.
Yeah,
Girl
that's
got
Yeah,
up in the
absolutely.
cage.
At Celtic Gladiator. Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, man.
We rocked that one.
Yeah,
I miss
I
that.
miss it. I miss you
Good
guys.
days. Yeah.
Yeah,
those were
we
fun
miss you
days.
too, man.
You miss our tacos for $1.
And that too.
Oh, you
Wow.
miss me eating Band-Aids, of course.
I'm glad I missed that day.
I wasn't there for that
Yeah.
juncture.
I just
All right.
kept going. I blew them all away.
Yeah.
I eat whatever comes in my mouth. Oh my
I'm
God!
Leave that
did
alone.
I just say
I'm
that?
gonna leave that alone. But
Whatever works for you. It's Tuesday
Yeah.
night, and what you do on your Saturdays is your business.
You gotta chew before you
Yeah,
swallow.
man, Rhea, thank you so much for jumping on. And
We miss you.
This is
Yeah,
we
thanks
miss
for
you,
having me, guys.
Dondo especially.
Yes.
And whenever you want on, dude, this is
Your home-
spot,
your
man.
door's
This
open.
is
You
your
know
spot.
We got a couch for you.
Yeah, I'd love to like come on and actually talk about some fights.
Yeah.
So let me know what's coming up. Shoot me a text or something. I'll make sure I watch it, and I'd love to come on and talk some shit and banter with you guys.
Let's do it.
Hell
Let's
yes.
do it. Robert, you hear that? Keep her informed about everything.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna talk to
Robert,
the
get on
wizard
that,
that is the
yo.
Polynesian panda.
The Polynesian panda.
Hell yes, damn
Oh
right.
my god.
Oh, you're awesome, Maria. Thank you so much, and good luck in school.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was cool. Jim Crasher's OG, man. Yeah,
I was tripping because I haven't seen her in a very long time. She went away, and she's been very busy. So hats off to Maria. Hope she's doing well.
Yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah,
My partner.
dang right. So back to 214. So,
Fedor was definitely heartbreaking. That broke my heart.
but for me, I
Especially
mean,
with
just
a stiff jab and
yeah.
just walked
Right.
into it.
yeah,
And I'm
absolutely.
not saying Ryan Bader doesn't deserve that victory. Ryan Bader has busted his butt to
Right.
get to where he is to be a triple champion. There's nothing greater than that. I will never take anything away from Ryan Bader.
No, not at
I
all.
just wanted more from Fedor.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, he didn't deliver. It's what he could give us that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, hate to get all sappy and sentimental,
Yeah.
but here's the thing. So, I mean, I grew up
Emperor.
in Inglewood, and one of my first forays into MMA was watching guys like Fedor and Vanderlei and Quinton Rampage Jackson in Pride, and
I miss Pride so much.
yeah, oh
Yeah.
yeah, man,
That was
it
a
was
better-
so great, and just to
Way
see,
better rules.
yeah, I mean,
Open weight classes.
Right.
yeah, Mark
Soccer
Kerr,
kits.
the Smashing
Soccer
Machine.
kicks are
I
my
mean,
favorite.
this is essentially, names that are forgotten by the MMA populace at large if you've only watched MMA in the last 5 to 8 years,
If you've only watched MMA from the start of The Ultimate Fighter,
Right,
you
absolutely.
know, that's our next wave, I would call it. So.
I think
Right,
you're
absolutely.
You're absolutely right. Things did kind of change at that point because
Yeah.
they started producing stars in that way.
Right, absolutely.
And they don't last. Like,
Right.
There's some
Well,
longevity with the previous ones.
Well,
you know?
there is. I mean, Tank Abbott, Huntington Beach local, was at the Bellator show, and Tank is still Tank, and I don't want to get hit by Tank, but
Yeah.
you see Tank and the crowd around Tank and the crowd around Tito Ortiz and everybody that showed up because of Hoist Gracie. We'll call it MMA Gen 1.
Right,
You
yeah,
know,
right.
These were the guys that
Paved the way.
yeah, that opened the door for everybody. And like you said, Mark Kerr, Smashing Machine. Last I heard, he was selling cars in Arizona, and Mark Kerr deserves a job anywhere. If you want a wrestling coach, call Mark Kerr,
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so
especially if you're in Arizona.
for sure. Oh my gosh, I mean, Arizona State University churning out some of the best. I mean,
Dan Severn.
Yeah, absolutely. UFC Hall of Famer Dan Severn. So yeah, for me I grew up watching that and being in England, and my childhood home is a stone's throw away from the Forum, and to see Fedor at the Forum, I never thought that would happen.
Right.
And then the year prior, getting to take a picture with him, which is like one of the highlights of my life,
Right.
probably. And so to see him decimated in that fashion, it was heartbreaking, but in the sense that I got to see a Fedor walkout.
Right.
And of course he didn't look the same, but it was still Fedor. It
Right.
was still Fedor. And
I was
you
just
can't-
hoping that the backdrop would have been like one of those Ivan Drago Rocky IV poses where he's just staring off into the horizon. But it's not
Yeah.
Fedor, but I would have loved to have seen that for
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the childhood aspect in me.
You see how it was a very pro America crowd, especially in the instance of Adele and what have you. So I don't think that would have went over well. I mean, I think
I'm just saying for
Yeah.
me to have him play the
yeah,
heel.
of course. I
He's
mean,
pretty established where we don't
Oh, yeah.
question where he's
No,
from.
we don't
You know
care.
what I mean? He can
Yeah.
do anything he wants. We
Yeah.
still love
Nobody cares that Fedor's from
Right.
Russia, dude.
No, hell no.
Fedor
Yeah.
is the best.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
if Fedor wants to come back, Fedor can come back anywhere
That's
he
right.
wants.
Right. Anytime he wants.
Exactly. I mean, if he wants to fight next week, he can. But like what Scott Coker told us is that he got permission from Vladimir Putin because he's head of their amateur MMA program in
crazy.
Russia. Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
So if he wants to come back, he just gets permission from the federal government again because that's how much he respects his country. And maybe we'll see him again in the Bellator cage in another year or two.
That is crazy.
but that, I mean,
Maybe even risen.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt this conversation, but isn't there a brother that got out of prison and is fighting too?
oh my gosh, that
Somebody
is.
talk about
I
that?
mean, that is almost the antithesis of,
Antithesis
yeah,
of,
in terms of the presentation.
Yeah.
I mean, tatted up, got a laundry list of a criminal record
Oh,
and
went
what
down
have you.
for some harsh stuff too.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I don't. It's almost like how Horion Gracie chose Hoyce rather than Hickson because Horion knew he couldn't control Hickson, and it's the same thing. So good luck, Scott Coker or whoever wants to take a chance on Fedor's brother that doesn't have the name recognition that Fedor does, but might give you a tougher time in terms of logistics. You know,
I would say
Todd
Risen would
Medina.
probably pick him up.
Todd Medina has offered to fight him, and Todd Medina's, you know,
Oh, geez.
Another Huntington Beach
Yeah,
local.
another
Dude,
Huntington Beach
Todd
local.
Medina has been calling him out. Yeah.
that's right. Todd Medina's a badass and
Yeah.
wants to fight him in Romania or wherever they can put it together.
Wow.
Also an Edison High School alumni. So
there you go.
Is that where you went, Robert?
I went to Edison High School
I
in
went
Huntington
to
Beach.
Huntington, buddy.
Oh, it's all right. You guys had
Yeah.
uglier colors.
That's for sure.
I went to England, but Robert Samo and I were
We were born in
at
the same hospital in San Francisco.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So that's a cool caveat. Other than that, I'm just a South Bay kid.
Yeah, we just got this whole connection going.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I guess I'd be remiss not to talk about.
Jack Hager?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Jack Hager, I think, what was the time on his fight? Let me double check. His time was 2 minutes and 9 seconds by submission in the first round against J.W. Does he pronounce it Kaiser?
I don't know.
I had a hard time
It's
getting.
J.W. Kaiser.
Okay, because I had a hard time getting confirmation on the pronunciation of his last name. So sorry, JW, if I pronounced it incorrectly. It was an interesting fight. People were writing Jake off because of the pro wrestling thing, a la CM Punk. But unlike CM Punk, and just like Bobby Lashley, and just like Brock Lesnar, he is an NCAA Division I wrestler. You know, a heavyweight, and is a Sooner. Like, some of the best wrestlers ever have come out of Oklahoma. So how
Danny
can you?
Hodge.
How
I'll
can
give
yeah.
him that, but that opponent looked like a can.
I almost was like, oh my gosh, did they bring back either Ron Sparks or Eric Prindle? Because that was my era of
Wasn't in
Bellator
shape, he didn't
heavyweight.
look ready to go.
This big sloppy heavyweights just banging and whatever, and if they couldn't knock each other out in the 90 seconds, they would tap out in terms of like their gas tank and
And
whatever.
nothing really fascinating happened. He wasn't ready to throw, wasn't ready to go at all. So he got dropped.
But the thing is, it's, like CM Punk, he didn't have any amateur fights.
Yep.
And he came straight into the pro ranks, which is very difficult to do. I give Lashley credit for going the other route and going the amateur route first and then turning pro, and then having the record that he did, and same with Brock Lesnar. So it doesn't make sense when people just want to go in there without any background. But hey, Jack Hager pulled it out. If you want to say that about Kaiser, Kaiser's had a couple of fights beforehand, and he can now regroup and reset for whatever's next for Kaiser, and Jake Hager can keep moving on. So he'll probably end up working on his striking some more.
Hopefully, Kaiser works on his jiu-jitsu more. So
And his diet.
his teammates can be like, "Hey, Kaiser, want to roll?"
Yeah,
Because the Kaiser roll.
He does want a Kaiser roll with some butter on it.
10 points. 10
Butter
points.
it up.
Until he shows up here in 20 minutes and then beats the crap out of these two
Yeah.
I
guys.
think it's in Arkansas, and I don't think they know how to use the transport.
Arkansas.
So I'm betting on that. So there you go. His illiteracy rate is really high.
Yep.
Not.
I think you're right.
Sorry for our friends in Arkansas.
Why are you picking on the South, man? The nicest people are in the South. Well, you have issues with some of them, but
He's from the way south.
He has issues in the South.
He's from the way south. He's from the South Pacific.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
It's a whole other hemisphere where he's from.
Literally, I mean, we're kind of in the hours removed of the guy from Empire getting
yes, I heard about that.
noosed. Like they
Yeah.
put a noose on him, and they were in Chicago.
Whoa,
Yeah.
they
Beat
still
him
do
up.
that kind of thing, huh?
Dude, Chicago's violent, man. I don't understand the screaming MAGA thing because one shouldn't have anything to do with the other. But if they're using that as their racist chant, I think that term needs to be reevaluated by the people that
Use it.
I don't like the ideology.
I don't have a dog in the hunt in that one, so I'm just like whatever. But yeah,
MAGA.
in South, it kind of historically happened. So
Thank you,
not,
Robert.
But it was
not,
Chicago,
not,
you know?
not a fun thing, and not a fun thing.
Robert
for
has just
Chicago.
increased
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
tan
Right.
Yeah, man.
tenfold.
Whereas I just passed for Caucasian, so I have an easier time than Adam.
That's right.
I think you just wanted to slip.
You
the
could
cock in
pass.
there.
Yeah, that's so true. I don't even know.
Hey, 10 points for Samo.
Samo's
Hell yes.
a cocky Asian.
Yeah, man. So
Only from the western side of the continent.
So yeah, then going back to Hager, man, I was sitting with Blake Troop. Shout out to Blake Troop and
Yeah.
Rage from Black House.
Troop, it was great seeing you.
Yeah, and it was like I was just like, oh man, he's gonna cut an awesome promo, blah blah blah. Had none of it. It was just, I mean, and it was kind of cool to kind of see him. I guess maybe in the back of his mind that people had written him off from the 10 plus years that he'd been in the WWE.
And he is Lucha Underground heavyweight champion right now.
Yeah,
so.
under Jake Strong and what have you, and he's done a ton of indies. Just recently featured in the 10 Pounds of Gold series, produced by Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Unbelievable.
Huh?
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is reciprocal, man. But with that being said,
Please don't get mad. It's a very similar fan base between professional wrestling and mixed martial arts.
I
Absolutely.
don't understand it. I'm only learning of these things, and
Okay, I'll put it this way. Since
don't
a
get
lot
it.
of us are comic book geeks, and John will probably back me up.
John's very
when he
into
comes
both.
in.
It
Okay.
drives me nuts.
So, pro wrestling fans can like MMA, but MMA fans can't like pro wrestling. It's like manga fans can love comic books, but comic book fans can't love manga. Like, it's just a weird division that the two communities have where there is this overlap, but only in one direction,
Got it.
and not the band. Because
Whoa,
I know
there you
Dondo
go.
was going to pull that one out.
There you
I
go.
was thinking hentai fans can like porn, but porn fans can't like hentai.
Whatever works for you
Again,
on
I got
a Tuesday
no
night
dogs
after
in
the
the
show,
hunt. I
is,
have,
that's your
That's what I
business.
was
wrestling
thinking.
and MMA is what I got. But
That's what I was
With that
thinking.
all being said, in terms of the relation from pro wrestling to MMA, what we now know as no-gi jiu-jitsu
Yes.
was what George Hackenschmidt and Frank Gotch were doing at the turn of the century.
In catch
And we
wrestling, yeah.
And we called it pro wrestling. And people by the thousands would come in and literally come to the arenas to watch it, So when...
Is that true? Is that documented that it was
Yes,
similar
absolutely.
to no-gi jiu-jitsu?
It is, exactly.
Catch wrestling is exactly that.
I mean,
yeah.
you had what is it, Metamoris, you had Josh Barnett in wrestling tights as a ode to his trainers Billy Robinson
Sure.
and Antonio Inoki, tap Dean Lister, to a crank essentially.
That's unbelievable.
You know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a strong
so-
dude that can crank Dean Lister's neck.
Yeah, and to kind of Robert Samo's point, it's kind of crazy because you've got MMA fans that don't like pro wrestling fans don't like MMA, but the fighters love pro wrestling and the pro wrestlers love MMA.
yeah.
So
It's a very weird dichotomy, but Adam and I enjoy it, and Dondo pretends to. So
there you go.
Pretends, and I even struggled to stay awake. They
There
give
you
me
go.
the hammer on the bell thing, right?
The ding ding.
Yeah,
There you
I
go.
was the ding ding guy, and I literally passed out and went ding ding ding, like in the middle of a round.
I
and got yelled at. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, I passed out. I'm tired."
I love
when
that.
I was the timekeeper at Mach 1 Wrestling, we all got class rings because I
Okay.
never got one when I got my high school diploma, my college degree, or my master's degree.
Yeah.
And so we got one for Mach 1 Wrestling, and I was the timekeeper, and inside the ring, everyone put like a saying, and mine was, "I ring the bell."
There you go.
Yeah, because
I love it.
we met a bunch of girls, and I just wasn't into it that night. And everyone's talking up what they did, and oh, I'm the ring announcer. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm the booker. I'm this. What? And like one of them's looking at me, and I'm playing with my phone. I was like, huh? Oh, I ring the bell.
There you go.
I ring the bell. I don't even ring the bell anymore.
Right.
They fired
There
me
you
from
go.
that.
That's because you were terrible.
That's
at it.
true.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
I run the iPod, so I act like a
But
DJ.
but
guy.
again,
You
you're
run the
ding ding
iPod.
guy.
You go to YouTube and find the best
exactly-
of WWE hits.
This
and
is exactly
play
what
that.
I do.
There you go. Kayfabe, kid. Kayfabe. Shh. Don't let all your secrets out. You're a magician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's magic till the commercial starts playing on the next track.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
see,
fact.
absolutely.
It's actually a fact. I just let it run. I'm usually off doing something else. They're looking at me like, "There's no music."
There you go. Yeah, that's not a good deal. But some cool music that actually got played.
Tell us.
Was a Gym Crashers alum. A gentleman who was just in this very studio last week, Mr. Henry K.O. Corrales. I mean,
I like that you call him K.O. Corrales.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that.
That's his new nickname,
Yeah,
apparently,
because
thanks to
I mean,
Adam Woods.
the OK.
I've been
kinda-
saying it forever because
Yeah.
he does knock people
Yeah,
out,
absolutely.
right?
And I mean, his name is
And there's nothing okay. Nothing okay about him. The
Yeah,
man's a
he's
phenom,
extraordinary.
right?
He's extraordinary. And again,
I like
a lot
that
of
out.
people kind of pegged him off, despite the fact that he has got prior to his fight with Aaron Pico. And shout out to Aaron Pico and the training lab, and shout out to Antonio and AJ McKee.
Yeah, that may come up, right?
So I mean, it's Stellar Camp. I mean, Freddie Roach was saying that he's trying to get Code Pico just to go into boxing
Right.
because he's such a natural.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Pico's record. I'm not Pico. I'm sorry.
Corrales.
Corrales' record was 16-3 going into that fight.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know how they thought that was going to be an easy fight for Pico.
Right.
But it was still a great fight,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it still surprised the crowd because for some reason they had written Henry off.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the thing about it is, I mean, obviously, if they were like ardent Bellator fans, you've seen the amount of resources that they put into
Right.
promoting Pico, and especially the first match, you know, against gosh, I can't remember Zach. I forgot his name, but they debuted the guy in Madison Square Garden. I mean, that's holy crap. As a 20-some-odd-year-old
Right.
kid, like, I don't care if you won wrestling meets at 16 in Bulgaria, whatever. That's the
the
Madison
Garden,
Square
yeah.
Garden.
It's heavy.
You're like, oh my gosh, right? So yeah, it's of course, you know, you're not gonna show up. But again, if you're an ardent Bellator fan, you would know how much resource that they put into it. Then the fact that they announced him from LA, the roar of the crowd, holy
Right.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, man.
People knew,
And,
though. People
Henry's
knew
from-
both of those guys.
Yeah,
Right.
well, Henry's from Whittier. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's not too far. And I
Right.
guarantee most people that popped for
I thought they were
LA,
both from Whittier.
Yeah.
I think Henry's actually from La Mirada and Pico's from Whittier.
Yeah.
right. Well,
Same place.
right. Oh,
2 stoplights away.
That's
There
right.
you go.
Huntington Beach, Fountain Valley. Same thing.
Exactly.
But with that all being said, I mean, they were two guys that were essentially from the same neck of the woods, and one got cheered, I mean, outrageously over the other, you know. And again, that was so fantastic in the sense that, my goodness, I mean, Henry got dropped. And there
He
was
did.
like a...
He got dropped quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a gasp, like, oh my gosh.
But he
And-
stayed
But
with it.
how fast did
cheering.
he come back? How fast did he come back?
He stayed
Recovered
with it.
like a
He
champ.
freaking stayed with it. No
Yeah.
two ways about it. Nobody else stays with it and still dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, Dondo, didn't you hang out with him the other night?
The other night, yeah, I
Tell
went
us
over.
What happened with that, man? Since you were just having, we'll say, coffee.
Well, my good friend Henry Corrales, he's our training partner from Dillo days back in the day. Now he's moved on to other things at MMA Lab over in Scottsdale,
Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona, Glendale, wherever
Absolutely.
it is.
Training with Benson Henderson and...
Are
They-
you naming every city on the map
You know,
in Arizona?
was one of them.
Okay.
But Tilted Kilt in Chino, big event for Henry and his guys at Iridium, and it was fun. You know, the day after, so I got to hear all the different stories, of which I have no recollection. But you know,
At least he's honest.
It's true. Henry had a great time, obviously. On his way up, I hope to see him fight for the title. I don't know what the politics is with that. There's names tossed around like AJ McKee and other guys that are there as well. But still, he deserves a shot. I hope he gets a shot soon, especially while he's on fire.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's on top of the world. So shout out to Henry and Iridium, Jacob Parga, Jason House, all you guys, man. You guys make it happen.
Eddie Cha.
Eddie Cha, all those guys. You're
Yeah,
right.
man. Yeah.
Benson Henderson.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know it.
I have a question for you guys.
Producer
All right.
Robert is speaking as the voice of God.
Do you think that it's the promotion side, the reason why that Pico had such a big pop and the big following? Or do you feel that it's just Pico has just that many more fans?
Go
You
ahead
know,
and take this one. Yeah.
I think it's divided in thirds. You know, 1/3 of it is the fans, 1/3 of it is Pico's talent and his story, and the other third is definitely Bellator pushing the narrative. We were talking about UFC earlier, and now UFC is owned by WME IMG. That is a talent agency. So when Adam says it seems like the UFC is becoming more WWE, well, Bellator is becoming more WCW, World Championship Wrestling, not Woman Crush Wednesday. In that they're
Whatever
owned-
that is, let's go.
Yeah. In that it's owned by Viacom. Viacom owns Paramount Network. Viacom owns Showtime. Viacom owns CBS. Well, their sister companies, CBS Productions and Viacom. They're sister companies that they're trying to merge. You know, they own Paramount Pictures. So with the story and the narrative being led by Bellator, that is heavily influenced because Viacom owns them. Same way with the UFC in pushing certain fighters over others, it's because WME IMG owns them. You have a talent agency that owns one. You have one of the most powerful conglomerates owning the other. So there's going to eventually be, and sorry for those that hate professional wrestling, but those that remember the era of the late 90s, another version of the Monday Night Wars
absolutely.
between Bellator and the UFC. And we've nicknamed Bellator at Fanboy Nation, BCW, Bellator Championship Wrestling. No, not saying that it's fixed, but in the fact that once they open up the purse strings, the same thing will happen with Bellator that happened with WCW. WCW got Hulk Hogan, they got Macho Man, they got everybody that the WWE couldn't, or WWF at the time couldn't afford to pay. Now Bellator, once they open up their purse strings, especially since they finally aired everything live on both coasts, open up their purse strings, you're going to get the big money guys. You're going to get DJ coming in, I think, who's was the most underrated flyweight ever the UFC had. You're going to get heavyweights and light heavyweights crossing over for that extra dollar, and because they still get to wear their sponsors on their trunks and carry the banner behind them.
Now, going to that point, they bring in DJ. Do you feel that with the type of promotion, the big giant media conglomerate, are they going to be able to promote him better and make him more of a star than he would have been if he stayed with the UFC?
Here's the difference between the UFC and Bellator. All right. The UFC is for the casual fan. All right. I mean, yes, we're hardcore fans. Of course, we're going to watch the UFC. But we're also the ones that are watching Bellator, One, Risen, LFA, CES, CXF, all these other promotions. You know?
said it. All of them.
Right.
I love
So the Bellator fans are more inclined to care about the fights and the fighters rather than the hype machine.
Right.
All right. Conor McGregor, great hype machine.
Yep.
But Rory McDonald, great fighter. Gegard Mousasi, great fighter. Why Mousasi never got a title shot in the UFC is beyond me, but it doesn't fit the narrative that they were telling.
Right.
And so in order to have somebody like Mousasi be showcased, he had to go to Bellator or One in order for fight fans, not promotion fans, to be there and go, now this is what I want to see.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Same with Ryan Bader.
Yeah. Bader, Benson Henderson.
Yeah.
Paul Daly. There's the list goes on and on
Yeah.
in terms of, what Bellator has been able to do with having deep pockets to
Right.
kind of court these guys and girls, and essentially, they retain all their sponsorships. I mean, if you listen to like Brenda Schaub talking,
How do you survive without that, right?
right?
Do
Absolutely.
you live in your mom's garage through your whole professional career because you don't have it?
Right.
But
Absolutely.
here's the thing. Like, I was talking to Matt Greco at the Fight Voice, and we were discussing how so many people were arguing that they wanted to see Michael Chandler versus Eddie Alvarez in the UFC. And I was like, we got it in Bellator. I don't care what promotion they fought in, but I got to see that fight.
That's
and I
right.
got to see it twice.
Right. Exactly.
So whether you had the 3 call letters of UFC or whether you had the Latin name of Bellator, didn't matter to me where it was, just that it happened.
Right. Exactly.
And I think that's what fight fans, not promotion fans, care about more than anything. I
That's
don't
a
care if
fact.
I see Rory
That's a
McDonald
fact.
versus Gegard Mousasi at UFC or Bellator, so long as I get to see them fight each other.
That's a fact.
Dang right.
Spoken
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, I like your insight, and I respect the fact that you can compare those two different, very different industries, but it works the same way.
Yeah.
Promotions work the same way. So you got to be a promoting machine. I think that fighters should take heed because it isn't just your abilities.
Right.
Right. Absolutely.
And then don't forget, Scott Coker is a completely different promoter or fight or,
That's right.
or fight matchmaker than
Dana White is.
So Dana White has that image that fits the hype machine. Scott Coker has the fighter image.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely. He fought
So-
before.
I mean, he was a karate fighter. You
Right.
know, K1 was his baby. People still refer to kickboxing under K1 rules.
right.
You
Absolutely.
know?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
K1's been defunct for how many years, and they're like, we fight under K1 rules.
Yeah.
Right.
And everybody knows what that means when
Right
you
away.
say that. Yeah.
Right.
So that's all Scott Coker. Strikeforce was on the verge of being what Bellator is now.
Right.
And, Showtime was there. That was its home. I can't say anything bad about DAZN, but I can sit there and say that a big thing that I would recommend to Bellator, especially now that they're airing live on both coasts, which hallelujah, which will increase their numbers tremendously.
Hell yeah.
Is those tentpole shows. Your sister company is Showtime. All right? You care about apps, you care about streaming. Showtime has its own streaming app. Air the fights on Showtime. Half your fan base already has Showtime for all the shows and
At
movies
least.
on there anyway. So keep everything in-house. Keep it within the family.
Yeah, that's one way to monetize it, and then gain awareness across platforms. Because you did see it with the WCW. WCW was owned by Ted Turner for the latter part of its existence, and essentially,
Well, for most of its existence as WCW from 1990
right, absolutely,
up until 2001, so 11 years.
and even
Yeah.
one would even go like 88 because WTBS, that was that's why Ted Turner threw so much resources into it, because in his mind that's what made his his organization, his media conglomerate was pro wrestling. It was cheap and it was easy to make. So with that being said, what W did with Nitro on Mondays and then eventually Thunder on Thursdays, they did it TNT, TBS, right?
Yeah.
And it kept it all in house. So it can work. And again, it's not like they don't have the resources. I don't know why the zone is suddenly the thing when all of these organizations, aside from maybe Combate Americas, have their own kind of in-house.
Well, UFC airs a lot of the other ones, but UFC doesn't air its pay-per-views on Fight Pass.
Fight Pass,
You know,
right.
it's now on ESPN Plus,
Right.
Or or regular pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have Fight Pass, take advantage of what WWE does with the network and put it on Fight Pass.
Right.
That will increase sales right there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think they're there yet. And I mean, WWE.
I mean, we're just talking from a fan base. We have
Yeah.
no
Right,
stroke
right.
whatsoever,
That's a
and
fact.
we don't have either Viacom or WME money. So
right. And I mean, one.
But we'll take some.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Anytime.
Slide into those DMs, folks. I'm just saying. But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy where we are right now. But Bellator, I mean, right now is arguably my favorite promotion right now because, again, of course, you've got your tentpole fights that people want to go see, but they load the card with like local guys and.
But it's not just they load the fight with local guys. They load the fight with talented local guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Guys we love.
Yes.
Right. And not just that, but also, I mean, they treat the elder statesmen like a Tank Abbott, like a Hoist Gracie, like a Sakuraba. All of the people that I've said, and even more, have been at meet and greets whenever Bellator was in town and what have you. And they
Art Davies. They brought in Art Davies how many times?
Yeah, absolutely, man. One of the
founders of the UFC, if people don't know.
Exactly. So, I mean, to me, Bellator is just awesome, and then their belt looks amazing in comparison to the UFC's.
Yes,
But
I've told the
digress.
Bellator staff several times, please make replica belts. I want one for my home office.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it. But going to like ESPN and as it relates to Bellator, we can't not talk about the viral sensation that is Ryan the Lion Lilly.
There we
Just knocked
go.
out-
Lilly,
I've been
yeah.
waiting for that.
Yeah, with his spectacular head kick knockout over tough and game James Muka Barnes from Team Quest out in Temecula,
Yeah.
So, Robert, take it away.
You know, Ryan is a genuine guy. He's a good fighter. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of potential. He's still very young. If he slows his pace a little bit, I think he'll be able to be far more dominating than he is. Just slow down just a little bit, Ryan, and you're on the right track, man. Other than that, I got nothing bad to say about you.
I can tell you this, Ryan Lilly, that was the kick heard around the world. I mean, that was unreal. At a fight like that, I know it was a prelim fight, but man, everybody watching was blown away at the power.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes those prelim fights surprise you because that's how you get on the main card.
Yeah.
That's how AJ McKee did it at Pachanga in a post-fight card where he ran up the cage for a head and arm toss and tapped his opponent out afterwards.
There it is, man. And exactly. It looked. I mean, as of the last I checked, the entire fight was on Sports Center, and it's got like 1.2 million views.
It better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So shout
Ryan
out to
the
Ryan.
Lion.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
Ryan.
and I mean, not just Ryan, but he's out of Bazrutin's Elite MMA and Westlake Village, I believe it is.
It is.
Thousand Oaks, I
Thousand
think.
Oaks.
Yeah.
Thousand Oaks.
We'll give him a shout out into the camera so he can see your
absolutely.
face.
And not only that, but he's been. I mean, I was able to interview him about a week and a half ago.
Dude, he
at
supports
Muscle Farm.
everything we do, everywhere we go.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not just that he supports everything that everyone does.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he shows up everywhere.
He
will
is
go
everywhere.
down to San Diego
True.
for a camo show.
Yeah, for
Epic.
For an amateur show. Yeah, for Epic. Epic puts on some of the best camo shows there are.
Absolutely.
You have MMA. We hope you guys come back at some point. Ryan was at everything, and he'll still show up to everything. So, that Ryan deserves a shout-out just for that to support the camo guys,
That's right.
too.
Yeah,
We love that
and,
Ryan
I mean,
Lyon.
I mean, literally getting work done with Jason Manley at Muscle Farm, the immortal Matt Brown.
Yeah.
What's his, I like to call him Uncle Dana's Legend Killer, but Mickey Gall.
Yeah.
And they're doing work
Yeah.
over there, man.
Hell yeah, they're doing work. Yeah,
Another
Robert.
thing too is it happened so fast. James Barnes is an amazing fighter.
That's right.
Shout out to Muka.
Yeah,
We're also,
shout
also
out to
friends
Muka,
with,
man.
Yeah,
we're also
Muka's
friends
a
with
homie.
James. So we wish both of them the best, but only one can win. But I feel like it doesn't also show how great Ryan is because
It was so short.
Right.
Mooka also didn't get started either. So I mean, like, that's a testament to Ryan's skills because Mooka's a beast as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
And let's be honest, shout out to anybody that's willing to get in the cage.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good luck to you. Whether some people think that you're a can or you're the next legend. You had the guts to step in the cage where a lot of people don't.
That's a fact.
Yeah, man. And
I think people don't get enough credit for that. They want to talk bad about they suck, they're this, they're that. Did you get in the cage? No. Okay. Did you ever step on a mat or get in a ring and put on mitts at least? No.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
So quit talking if you haven't done it yourself.
right.
Sometimes you could ask, have you ever been to a fight?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ever been in a fight?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and
Even a third grade schoolyard fight that's a slap fight. Did that even happen?
Right.
So,
but it's kind of a crazy one with that. So I mean, Ryan had been on a skid, and then he picked it up in LFA over his win over actually James Mooka Barnes' teammate in Jordan Winsky. So that was crazy, right? And then essentially you had a cool thing happen with the Team Quest guys because Sam Alvey went out to corner Chris Curtis.
Mm-hmm. Smiling
he's-
Sam.
Yeah. On the East Coast, which shout out to Chris Curtis. He won a title on Friday night, right? So coming in, and then I'm not. It was Tom Galecchio that was the
Galecchio,
corner.
yes.
Shout out to Tom. But it's kind of crazy with Mooka. He's kind of had this teeter totter. I think we were talking about it, right? Where I mean, the Bellator last year, he lost to Chad the Savage George, right? Then he wins a submission victory over Albert Morales at the Golden Boy show at the Forum, and then gets head kick knockout here again at the Forum. So it's just like
it's this teeter-totter thing. Yeah, I get it. We had actually at the same time we were joking about Sam Alvey. Shout out to Sam. We love you.
Yeah, Sam's great.
We
Sam's
had
great.
joked because you're always smiling that we would hate to be your kid getting spanked by you because everyone would be like, oh, Sam seems like such a nice guy smiling all the time. And the kid goes, no, my dad's sadistic. He smiles while he beats me. So
Yes.
it's a joke. We don't think Sam beats his kids.
No,
But,
no.
it would just be one of those things because Sam's always smiling. Like, even when he's mad, Sam's still smiling.
Smiling, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
During the whole Ultimate Fighter,
yeah.
Yeah.
he
Everything.
smiled through the freaking whole
Yeah.
Yeah.
series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
But it's genuine, too. It's not fake.
I
saw Sam
know
at
it.
Disneyland, and he was just smiling.
Yes,
at
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But then how
He's-
can you not smile at Disneyland unless you realize how much you paid for those
I'm a
tickets?
heel.
And they're going up.
It's like
They're going up even more, 25% or something.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, again, Sam Alvey. I mean, his wife is like one of the final contestants on like one of the seasons of America's Top Model or something
Whoa.
like that.
Yeah, but she's
So
also a jiu-jitsu fighter, too.
yeah,
What the-
it's so crazy.
yeah.
Those
Crazy,
two, Just
yeah.
nuts. Yeah. So shout out to Team Quest and,
Absolutely.
and the rest of the guys. Yeah.
What's going on down in Temecula? We need to get gone down
Wine
there and
country,
gym
man.
crash. Yeah. Get some vino on the gym crash.
We'll have a drink and talk.
I like
the
it.
last time I went out there, I went out with Troop, and he gave me one of his sponsors things. And
I want to go out there with Troop. You hear that?
As Michael Williams said, I found myself under the Bellator cage. So
Is that a shout out to Cushy Punch?
shout out to Cushy Punch. Hey, if you're looking to sponsor a podcast,
Yes.
I'm a what is it? What did Sal Sperling say? I'm not just a president, but I'm also a member. So there's that 10 points.
And he's not just a pretty face either.
Hell yes, yeah, man. So, man, any other like takeaways from Bellator 214? Arguably for pro cards, especially televised ones, for my money, even though this is January,
Absolutely.
this is arguably one of the best cards of the year, top to bottom.
Top that one.
Here's the big takeaway from Bellator. Remember when UFC first aired on Fox and we got Junior versus Kane?
Kane, yeah.
And that was hyped so much, and it was a quick knockout, and that escalated
Yep.
the UFC. Same thing I would say for Bellator now, because now that everything is aired on both coasts, and the main event was a Fedor knockout in 35 seconds, I think it's just going to push Bellator even more, because everyone had to watch it on West Coast time here without reading the spoilers.
Spoilers, right.
Which I'm sorry I have to do, because I'm there, Cade side. So when the fight ends, my fight results go up. You guys get them on the West Coast, which everybody already saw on the East Coast, and still had to wait till 9 o'clock to see the fights. Usually,
Right.
now you get to watch it live with the rest of us, and that's what made it even more fun and special.
Yeah, and again, going back to Ryan Lilly, I mean, this is it's a cool time to be alive because essentially, his knockout, which was a not UFC show,
Right.
that obviously UFC has done everything to court ESPN, essentially, right?
I'm certain of it.
You have another organization getting on the official Instagram of SportsCenter, the flagship show of ESPN. I mean, that's almost unheard of.
Yep.
You know, so
We all witnessed it.
yeah, it's a really, really cool time to be alive. You
It was
know,
a surreal experience to see those commentators talk about our sport.
yeah, absolutely, and I mean,
And we have so many options too, which makes it even great.
right, and I mean, because of the way that the medium streams are and paid for streams or even free streams across Facebook, I mean, you can literally have, you know, within a matter of seconds, the best pro wrestling, boxing, MMA, whatever, for countries you never even heard of, promotions you've never even heard of,
Right.
but they're
Well, I mean,
breaking out
come on.
fights. You
Come
know?
on, there's Fight TV, there's Fight Network.
Yeah.
There's the UFC Fight Pass, there's WWE Network, there's
New Japan,
New Japan has their own streaming.
DAZN.
New Japan World, I think, is the
Right,
name of the
absolutely.
site. DAZN, all these things. At just one click, we can watch boxing, MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, professional wrestling, mixed martial arts, judo, jiu-jitsu, collegiate
point
wrestling,
karate.
point karate.
Yeah.
Karate Combat was just in Hollywood this
Crazy.
past Thursday.
Yeah.
Right,
I'm
absolutely.
sorry, guys, I couldn't make it. I would love to come to the next time that you guys are in California or Nevada or Arizona.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
but I
driving
love
with
Karate
him.
Combat.
That's
oh,
right.
We're going, man.
I'm
Especially
in.
if it's in Vegas when they put it up on top
I'm
of
in
the,
Vegas.
What was it? The
Top of the stratosphere?
yes,
what was
thank
it?
you. It was the Stratosphere when they had the fights over there. They weren't hanging off the edge. It's not like that roller coaster
Yeah.
that drops you off the edge and pulls
I'm
you
not
back.
doing the
going on
roller
that
If
coaster.
you guys do that,
thing. Yeah.
I'll be
No.
here.
We'll sit on the top of the
Okay.
Stratosphere and watch, but we're not
Okay.
going. You know.
They got to have a harness or something.
Yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
old sumo matches where they sat there and it's like, oh, you get pushed in the piranha cage and that's how you lose, or the
Or what
piranha
is
tank.
it? The Hogan, the Giant off of the Joe Louis Arena. Yeah, man, that, and then he came back at the end of the deal.
Of
Yeah,
course.
because it's WCW.
You know.
Who books this shit?
Right.
Anywho, but yeah, it's so cool, you know, because you've got all of these options, and I mean, one thing that we didn't mention at all is YouTube, man.
Oh,
I mean,
YouTube, man.
Yeah, YouTube.
Especially for the smaller promotions.
Right,
Just-
absolutely.
And fighters posting your own fights. Don't forget to shamelessly self-promote.
Yep.
Because that's, I mean,
So important.
Of course, you know, we want to think that the UFC is the kind of the curator of the sport of MMA.
Right.
But when they get rid of the flyweight division, they push certain fighters. I mean, Chris Cyborg just lost
Right.
one fight in the contract. There is almost no implication that they're going to re-sign her or whatever. And of
Right.
course, you want to say like, oh, well, she wants to do boxing. She was just at the WWE Performance
Dude,
Center.
I was at the fight at Lion Fight Muay Thai when she lost Johanna Barr.
Oh wow!
You know, and so that was in Vegas, and Cyborg stepped into a sport that isn't hers. She's a jiu-jitsu fighter. She learned Muay Thai. She's 2-1, I believe, in Muay Thai, and she stepped in against the best kickboxer in the world, and Johanna Bars, and she sat there and went, I think 2 or 3 rounds with her. So what does that say about her? You want Cyborg on your show,
Hell
and
yeah.
if they're gonna,
She wants to fight.
yeah, and if UFC is gonna eliminate the featherweight division, you know what? Bellator will create it for you,
Absolutely.
or Risen, or One, or any of them.
I believe Bellator already has the featherweight.
They do.
Yeah.
Bellator already has the featherweight
Right,
division.
absolutely.
And
Is it
so
Julia
does
Budd?
I think so.
Yeah.
And then Kayla Harris is competing for the lightweight title at Professional Fighter League.
I want to
PFL.
see that. I'm really interested to see how far she pushes her career because she's a gold medalist.
Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the thing that people neglect to mention.
Tell me.
All right. Yes, she's a gold medalist. Not only is she the first woman, she's the first American ever to win a gold medal in
That's
judo.
huge.
And then she did it again. So she's not only the first American to win a gold, she's the first American to win 2 gold medals
Yeah.
Wow.
in judo. She's amazing, but what kills me is that I understand you want to be a well-rounded fighter.
Yeah.
But you've been doing judo since you were 6 years old.
Yep.
Collect arms and necks all you can
That's
and
right.
set it up with the striking. Don't go for a striking finish.
That's right.
When you're queen of the ground game. Your Niwaza is untouchable.
Judo, no shit.
Yeah, and if you haven't known, he's also a practitioner in judo.
I do. I'm going back to judo training at, shout out to Shenshi Judo in Costa Mesa. I got my brown belt under David Matsumoto, who was Team USA's head coach in 1996, former president of United States Judo Federation. as well. And so I was in very good company. Professor Matsumoto, if you see this, I hope you're doing well. And please, please, please take off your wire rim glasses when you grapple with the lower ranks, because give us a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
And it's no joke. He used to grapple with his wire rim glasses
believe it.
and beat the hell out of us. And we're like, really? Like, you won't even take them off? Just a little bit of hope.
Is it hardwood floors, traditional Japanese judo training? Is that what it's like? Tell me about that training.
It's the mat. It's the
There's
judo
a mat?
mats.
Okay,
Yeah.
tatami?
Yeah, they're not elevated, so they are on the ground.
Okay.
It's I love judo. I wrestled in high school. I was an okay wrestler, but it didn't fully click till I started training in judo.
Got it.
And then when it finally clicked in my head, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And like moves became easier. It was easier to transition. And that's what happens when you have an Olympic coach as your head sensei.
That's huge.
And also shout out to Krav Maga XD in Costa Mesa, the striking place where I train as well. So I'll be going back to that once.
Dude, Robert Samo's got a stacked profile here. I had no idea.
Yeah. Robert Samo's also got a ton of injuries. That's how he gained all this weight.
Hey, that's my story as well, but I'm getting away from that. Too many excuses, right?
I'm just happy I could still walk.
Good for you, man.
There it is. But, dude, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
For those who don't know what Fanboy Nation is about, what is it and where can we find it?
You can go to fanboynation.com and our sister site fangirlnation.com, because we can't leave the ladies out. We cover everything from comic books to combat sports, what you can be an obsessed fanboy of.
Wow.
So video games, movies, television, comics, mixed martial arts. I was told that it was a bad idea to cover MMA on a comic book site because they said there's no crossover, and I told them Batman's in the cage without the cape and cowl. When I made the announcement that we were covering MMA, this was 5 years ago, IDW Publishing reimagined Joe Palooka as a 6-issue miniseries MMA fighter. And they made the announcement on Inside MMA with Kenny Rice and Boss Rutan.
It's heavy, man.
And I just went to everybody. And that was literally the day after I made the announcement we were going to be at a Bellator show.
Wow.
And I was like, so where was I wrong? And I don't usually like to be like huffy like that. Like, I knew what was up. But I made that announcement, and the very next day it happened. So I knew I was on the right track.
There it is, man. Fanboy Nation,
yeah.
almost Nostradamus-like calling of the shots, man. Yeah. Dondo, where can they find you, brother?
Dondo the Jujutero on Instagram. But like us, subscribe to us, share that link. We're the Gym Crashers. I'm going to leave it here to Mr. Adam Woods.
Yeah, and you can catch us here at Free Admission Media. We will be on Saturday in Seal Beach at Fighters Rep 5, United Strikers.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to George.
Yes. And let me throw out our social media: Twitter, Instagram, Fanboy Nation, Facebook, Fanboy Nation Mag.
That's right.
So, and yeah, shout out to George and everybody else. Lion Fight Muay Thai,
Lion
February
Fights.
16th. CXF March 9th, and then on top of that, US Sumo in Long Beach March 23rd.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Combates.
Yeah,
February,
Combates America.
18th or so in Mexicali.
Oh, there's a Fresno show, too.
Okay, one of those shows out in
And bare knuckle
Mexicali.
boxing's coming up. USA versus Mexico in Mexico City.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
There's
stuff.
a lot of stuff,
Again,
yeah.
it's a
We'll
great
be out
time
there.
to be alive if you cover the stuff that we do.
That's right.
I mean, damn, this is awesome. But I'm Adam Woods, according to Woods. Dude, thank you guys for joining us on this.
It's a hell of a night. Thank you, Robert
crazy
Samo.
ride.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
me. It's been a
absolutely.
great time tonight.
Yeah,
I'm learning
and,
more about you every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is us. And
a
we
beautiful
are
story,
out.
man. I like it.
Share, and subscribe. Free Admission Media on Facebook and YouTube. Give us a like. It's always an awesome time. And again, thank you, my good brother, for joining us here
Thank you.
on a Tuesday night. And until next Tuesday, folks, this is Gym Crashers, and we are out.
It's good. That's a wrap.